I always had this thing that was like, I want to change the world. I was like, God, what else can I do to help people? Right then, I saw this young couple
Yeah.
experiencing homelessness in the rain, soaking wet, holding up a sign that said, ugly, broke, and hungry. This is not just, this is not fair, this is not okay, and no one's doing anything about it.
What I love about you is that I think it's what really hangs around your neck all the time is mercy.
So now we're mostly talking about focusing on pay
Pay
it
it
forward and the
forward.
pay it forward stories, and I love it.
Caitlin Crosby, I want to know your beginnings. I want you to talk about those crazy Hollywood beginnings. You've been born and raised in Southern Los Angeles, Hollywood Hills.
Just all over LA, Beverly Hills High School, all the things. 90211. I wasn't quite 90210.
Oh, I mean, a crazy life. Your dad was in the entertainment business. And now you are the founder of a very well-known jewelry company that was built on, I call it mercy. And yeah, to pay it kind of forward. You started on this pay it forward mentality, but
It looks great on you, by the way.
I know. She brought me a new one. I have so many of them because during the dive school, you guys made us all our jewelry. You personally made us our jewelry, so I was always wearing one of your new creations. But I want to know. Just take us back to your upbringing and how you got to that, because you can't miss the story of the couple, the homeless couple. Like that just is just too good.
Yeah. Well, I was raised in youth group, even though my parents were in the industry. My mom would always take me to the LA Mission, and she was always a bleeding heart, like empath,
Yeah.
and would read me The Giving Tree every night. And I was like, read it again. I would just cry and cry and cry.
Yeah.
And so I think I got her genes in that sense.
Yeah.
And so I was always passionate about the issue of homelessness and people's stories, and just like not understanding why there was so much money and privilege over here. And I saw so much of that. And then in
Yeah.
the backyard was all this, like, this is not just, this is not fair, this is not okay. And no one's doing anything about it. And so, but yeah, kind of as a, like, rebellion. I mean, my mom did take me to youth group,
But
and
it's not like they went to church on Sunday.
not my
Right?
mom did, but my dad didn't. But yeah, I would. There were times in junior high and high school where I lied and said I was going to parties, but I was really going to church.
It's just,
I don't know how that happened, but that was kind of my thing.
oh man,
So I always felt like a rebel,
going to church
in a weird way. Yeah. And also because I went to a bar bat mitzvah every Saturday in 7th grade. So I know the whole Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher. Like I know, like I was the minority in that sense. So I was always bringing my Jewish friends to youth group. And
Yeah.
I was like, would make like evangelist, edit weird videos together to invite people to church. It's
Oh,
like Die Hard.
and I mean, what was it about that? Like in your youth, because it's not like you're growing up around spirituality. Is it because you had kind of were driven toward almost the poor and the needy that you felt almost like a spirituality in that?
I always had this thing that was like, I want to change the world, like from a young age.
Yeah.
And I think also because I did see so much of with my dad's clients or friends growing up in the industry, but money, power, privilege, but so many of them were rich and famous, but then depressed in rehab or
Right.
being bailed out of jail and trying to keep it out of the press of what's really going on. I was like, well, that doesn't make anyone happy. Money and success, they're all miserable. So
Yeah.
so then I think I had like a weird savior complex or something, like wanting to help them.
Yeah.
And because I loved going to church so much, it was like my reprieve from the craziness of growing up there. And I look forward to it. I was like, well, I'll just bring them. And so many of them would come and cry and, all the
And
things.
get kind of touched
Yeah.
in youth group.
Yeah.
And then your parents eventually split up too. So you're kind of had to walk through a broken home.
They've been back
Oh,
together since I was 17. So yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. You're like literally your life story is pretty crazy. Our only child.
My dad was married before, so I have an older brother. Like they're 10 and 12 years older than me, so I never lived with them.
But you kind of started out wanting to be singer, actress. Like you were all of those things that
yeah. Yeah, you just kind of do that when you're raised there. So I
yeah.
grew up doing acting, music. I was in a girl band with Babyface for 5 years.
Hey, everybody, this is Rita Springer. If you have been blessed and encouraged with what I have been doing here on the Worship is My Weapon podcast, and you want to help support us, you can do that through my nonprofit, Wearing Justice. The link is provided here. Any support is greatly appreciated, and it really helps us grow just the encouragement of what we want to do to see creatives press into the presence of the Lord and just people encouraged by freedom and encouraged by all of what God offers us in relationship with Him. And if that's you and you want to support the ministry, click the link below. I would greatly appreciate that. So you did acting, you did all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then where does Giving Keys come in? Where does all that start to emerge?
Yeah. So I did this movie with Brie Larson, who was Captain Marvel, and they put our face on the movie poster, and they didn't even airbrush our bodies. They just kind of cut out our bodies and put other bodies on the poster. And we're like, that's not cool. So we started something called Loveyourflawz.com, which we don't really do anymore, but went around and took thousands and thousands of pictures of people holding up signs.
I didn't know you did that with Brie. You did that with Brie. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
So thousands of signs of people, they said like, my chemo hair is beautiful. My cankles are the new black. My scar is sexy, all the things. And was so passionate about that topic. And my album in 2008 was called Flaws. And so everything at the merchandise table said, love your flaws, love your flaws, love your flaws, or imperfect is the new perfect. It was kind of also a way to give myself therapy from growing up in LA, I think, and undoing all the things that are kind of coming at us there and in that industry. But anyway, so Giving Keys started from really from Love Your Flaws, because I was in New York passing through on tour, and the hotel room key, I thought it was cool. So I put it around my necklace, and I think I lost it or something in my luggage. And then I found it one day in some other state. And I was at a locksmith one day, and the person in front of me had numbers engraved for their apartment. I said, ooh, do you have letters? Can you engrave Love Your Flaws on this key? So that was the first key I ever made. And then I saw all these old used keys on the side. And I said, ooh, while you're at it, can you do hope, love, faith, dream, believe?
Yeah, yeah.
all the other words.
Yeah.
And this was 15 years ago. So this was kind of before that was
crazy.
trendy.
15 years ago.
And so then I just started making jewelry out of them and selling them on tour at the merchandise table. And then the Giving Keys started selling out more than my CDs. So I was like, okay, well, thank you for coming to my show and buying all these key necklaces. So, and I remember little by little coming up with a pay it forward concept, like get a word you need, embrace your word, but then pass it on to someone you feel needs it more than you. And then people would write me on MySpace at the time, which proves we're the OGs. And people were like, so-and-so is about to commit suicide. I gave them my key.
Wow.
So-and-so's going through a divorce. I gave them my key. So-and-so has cancer. I gave them my key. And I was bawling my eyes out all the time, knowing that they were really touching people, and it was really used in these pivotal moments in people's lives. So I was like, oh, I should make a website to store all the stories so other people can read the stories other than my mom and I reading them and crying. So, and then I knew I wanted the money to go to some sort of charity, and I didn't know what. I waited for the missing link for like a year. And one day I was walking on Hollywood Boulevard. I was at church, and I left crying. They were playing an Invisible Children documentary. I don't know if you remember that back in the day.
Yeah, I do.
And I was like, God, what else can I do to help people? Like, this is just, it was so impactful, that documentary. And it was like a scene from a movie. It was raining. And right then I saw this young couple experiencing homelessness in the rain, soaking wet, holding up a sign that said ugly, broke, and hungry. And
Wow.
I was like, I went up to them and I said, why does your sign say that? What's your life story? Can I take you to dinner? So I took them to dinner, and I didn't have any weird motives of like, this should be my Giving Keys mission statement. Like, it was nothing to do with that. It was just like,
Yeah.
they're hungry, they're wet, and, you know, they're
Were you
humans.
calling it Giving Keys at that point?
Yeah, at that point, it was, I had Giving Keys, but I wasn't doing much with it. I
Yeah.
had I had the pay it forward thing going. And I did have a website, because I remember I showed her the website at the dinner table, because we talked for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And then the girl said, at some point I said, I like your necklace. It was like this like black gothic-y thing. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, thanks, I made it. She said, I like making jewelry. And I had my aha moment. I said, oh, you're the missing link to the Giving Keys. Do you guys want to be my business partners? And they were like, what? Like, who is this crazy lady? But okay.
Oh my
So then I
gosh.
went to the locksmith, bought engraving equipment, bought some hammers, um, and then started paying them to engrave the keys with the different words, and then just hustled and got them into all the stores. And then they saved up enough money, got their own apartment from living in a dumpster in a cardboard box. And then they couldn't keep up with the orders, so then we started hiring more and more people.
Yeah.
First off the street, not sustainable or safe. Learned a lot in the first few years. Then partnered up with transitional homes and nonprofits. They started screening people for us to make sure we were hiring people that were clean
Right.
and sober and all the things. So then,
Yeah.
yeah, we ended up employing over 150 people that were experiencing homelessness, that were trying to transition out of
Out of
homelessness to make
homelessness.
everything. So, yeah, so they engraved letter by letter. This says resilient.
And they
Um,
still do this
so
in your
not since
warehouse.
COVID. So we
Okay.
did that for over 10 years, which was incredible. And people would always ask, like, is that challenging? Like, is that hard to employ people that, are previously homeless or are homeless or
Yeah.
experiencing homelessness? And I was like, I mean, no, that's actually a joy and such a dream. It's the millennial sales girls that are the most challenging, or, whatever. Like, it was
Yeah.
like not,
Yeah.
they were incredible. Um, it was the other, I think the more, the other sides of working with, yeah, the millennial generation sometimes
Of
can be a
course. Of
little
course. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Just
entitled or
very
whatever.
self-entitled. Yes.
Yeah, like that was more challenging
Yeah.
than our mission. That didn't even feel like a mission. It just felt like heaven.
Yeah.
Um, and so fast forward to COVID happened. We shut down. We laid everybody off. We were meeting with bankruptcy attorneys, all the things. We shut down for months, and we had to renew like a 5-year lease, but we had no money and in debt and all the things. We didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening in the world. And a lot of
Yeah.
our employees were a lot older too. So no one wanted to mess with the COVID things and all the, like, one
A lot
person
of
would cough and
fear.
everyone would freak
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
quit or whatever. So we ended up finding a loophole in the shutdown season and went to a fulfillment center. So I asked if we could employ some of our same people, which they did there, because it's a different like boss, like an owner. So it's like I'm not in charge, because they do
Right.
10 other brands
Okay.
there.
So you
Um,
basically have a contract with them
mhm,
and then their facility does
yeah,
it.
yeah. So we don't have to pay rent. Um,
Wow.
and so, but they did end up employing some of our people, but it just wasn't the right fit, because I was their boss before, where it's like a different
Right.
vibe. And then it's just a different
Well, the whole
situation.
concept of why
Yeah.
you started it, it was in the building, everybody
Yeah.
working, and to have a
Yeah.
fulfillment center is a little
Yeah.
different.
So we were definitely transparent, like when we came back after COVID. I mean, the first 1,000 orders we had so much back stock that was
Yeah.
made that we did still sell everything that they had made. But now we've transitioned to that. So we're now donating proceeds to Chrysalis. So Chrysalis is our favorite nonprofit that helps
Oh,
people experiencing
great.
homelessness find jobs. So it's like we're still giving back to the same cause, but we're just
Yeah.
not in the building every day. Which honestly, for me, now that I'm a mom of two,
Yeah. Has
going
that been
downtown
better?
every day is like, I love being able to drop off my kids at school and pick them up from school and work
Yeah.
from home and give back in a different way. Because I mean, we did it for over a decade, so I feel like it was beautiful at that time, but now with all
Yeah.
the COVID rules, like we literally couldn't do it. So we find different ways to give back.
And that those rules pretty much for LA, they're still kind of intact down there where you just have to do it differently.
Yeah, like I couldn't even go into our fulfillment center for like a year or two after we even, because
Wow.
yeah, they would then, because if one person got it, then the 10 brands would be shut down, kind of thing.
Yeah. But has that brought, I mean, because I remember
Yeah,
talking to you way before COVID, a few
yeah,
years before COVID. I mean, who knew that was ever going
yeah,
to happen?
right,
And it was challenging. I mean, just to run a business, right?
right,
You're not just any business, but a business is kind of based on
yeah,
almost a nonprofit kind of a. You're trying to really do a beautiful work
yeah,
and keep the vision of what you started that for
yeah,
ever present in what
yeah,
you're doing, and in all of the advertising and everything. Everybody knows what a giving key's for. Everybody understands that concept, which I saw the burden on you back then.
hmm,
How does it are when you carry the vision for that? I've often thought about this with you when you're carrying that vision and you know it's supposed to be for this,
hmm,
but then you can't help but it becoming what it has to become because of other things that come in the way.
yeah,
How do you end up letting go
hmm,
of that without feeling like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose the whole identity of the vision for it?
yeah. That was definitely very challenging, but at the same time, I think I was a new mom, then a single mom, and I had
Yeah.
so much going on in just trying to figure out how to but before having children, I thought, "Oh, I'm not into the mommy stuff." Like my friends that are in mom land, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oof, not my vibe." It just was like I'm more like wanting to help, the change the world thing, or like thinking.
Right.
I was always thinking so globally from a young age that the thought of focusing all my energy
Just
on
didn't
like one
seem,
little
yeah.
thing, I was like, but then I had my kids, and the second I was pregnant, I didn't care about anything else other
Yeah.
than them.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I
Yeah.
don't care about anything. I only care about them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think, and then COVID and then becoming a single mom and all that was so, it was really so traumatizing becoming a single mom and
Yeah.
everything that happened to
Yeah.
lead up to that, that I think at that point I was just happy to be able to keep the giving keys alive. And and honestly, I think this is more like business talk, but we had so many consultants through the years that were like, you can't have two missions. It's too confusing for the consumer. And I was like, no, but I can't let go of either one of them. One of them was the pay it forward, pass it
Yes.
on stores, and the other
Yeah.
one was our employment
Yeah.
model, helping to end homelessness. And it's true, like some of the consultants were right in the sense of, they're like, it's too confusing, it's too much for one brain to get, and if they're confused, they're not gonna get it, which isn't true because millions of people got them, but a
Yeah.
lot of people that I talked to through the years really did only resonate with one or side or the other. Like some people knew the pay it forward thing, but
Yeah.
they didn't know about that we employ people transitioning out of homelessness, or people knew that like
Interesting.
this helps homeless people in some way, right? But they didn't know the pay
Right.
it forward thing. So then we went through, before COVID, a few years where I listened to the consultants, which was
Yes.
hard. And
Right.
I said, okay, I'll listen to the professionals. And I
Yeah.
only focused on ending homelessness through employment. So that was, and not ever talking about pay it forward. So on all of our branding, on all of our packages,
Yep.
on our
I kind of
wall,
remember all
it
this.
said, help us
Yeah.
end homelessness. And it didn't talk
Yeah.
about pay it forward. And I was like, but it's like half of my baby's dying. Like that is such a
Right.
beautiful part.
Oh,
So then now when everything happened with COVID and we couldn't do that part, it was kind of like, okay, well, now let's shift to the
shift
other
to
part that
the
we hadn't been able to really talk about. So now we're mostly talking about focusing on pay
pay
it
it
forward and the pay
forward.
it forward stories. And I love it.
Oh,
I love
that's
it
great.
so, 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 so much. And I feel like I'm more passionate about it now. Also, to be honest, I think, you know, I think now that I do have kids, and so much of running a business, having a lot of employees, they're all like feel like my children. It was like too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And
The responsibility you must feel is like,
yeah.
oh,
So I feel like very maxed in a good, blessed way to just focus on them,
yeah.
and then, give back how we can. And the pay it forward stores are helping so many people still, and they're it's so special that I'm happy to focus on it.
And all of those stories, are they found on your websites?
Yeah. And a lot of people will write them on socials too. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, this is Rita Springer. I know some of you know that I am doing a mentorship program right now for those of you that feel like you are in the creative realm. Maybe you're worship pastors or songwriters or in any kind of a creative department that you're working in church. Maybe it's just church leadership or you're on staff at a church. Or just have just this creative kind of sense about you. I love raising up creatives and have just spent the last 16 years pouring into them. Used to do a school called Dive, and now I'm really just doing this one-on-one and mentorships. And so that's available on the ritaspringer.com website. If you go to my website and you click the tab on mentorship, you could sign up for a one-on-one with me that's in a 4-week process. So we do these in groups of 4 weeks where if you sign up, you have 4 1-hour sessions a week with me. And it's really been an incredible process for those that have joined. And honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever done. I love getting to know you guys. And I love encouraging those of you in these areas where sometimes you guys feel stuck. You need leadership training. You want to raise up songwriting cultures in your worship team, or just life issues that you just need help figuring out or wanting just encouragement to walk through. If that's you, don't hesitate to get on the website, fill out the application, upload a little video, send me a little video about yourself, and we can just have a great conversation. So if that's you and you're looking for mentorship, go to the ritaspringer.com website and hit that mentorship tab, and I would love to mentor you. So are you at a place now where do you feel like that vision is still a growing vision, or are you on to something else?
Yeah.
Because when you carry a heart of mercy, I've noticed with so many people that start nonprofits and they kind of have to do something somewhere that has to do with the heart of what it is they love. Yeah. But when the vision changes like that, it's kind of out of your hands, but still within your reach. What, like, are you spinning new ideas? Are you, it's not just about, I know you come up with different jewelry lines, different things like that. I'm not asking about that because I think that comes with your line of jewelry. Right. But what about, like, what are you going to do now? Like, what's the next thing?
Yeah. The next thing that I'm really excited about that I love doing is consulting other, I love female entrepreneurs, but anyone. And helping. We did a thing on Sunday where we have Pay It Forward Sundays. So we share a Pay It Forward story. But instead, this last Sunday, we did something new where I said, this Sunday, I'm going to pay it forward to you guys. And we sent a blast to our whole email list. And I said, I'm going to pay forward a free 30-minute consultation to any female entrepreneur that's on our mailing list.
Wow.
And I'm a little overwhelmed by the response, but I'm happy to see all the women that wrote back, and they shared all their businesses, like such a wide variety.
How exciting.
I'm so excited to get in there and give them. I love helping from a branding perspective, or getting clear on their vision or their bios or their photography, artwork, branding, everything.
Yeah.
Because I've learned everything from wholesale to ads to digital marketing to HR to just all the things.
Yeah, because did you have your hands in all of that?
I mean, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, it was so guerrilla style the first few years that I did everything. And then as I hired more and more people,
you learned how to do it.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, so I'm excited. So I love doing like one-on-one consulting with different brands and people, whether it's starting your business or scaling it or whatever. And I think I want to start because it was such a great response. And I'm like, that would be hard to keep track of all the people one-on-one. So I think I want to start like a female entrepreneur mastermind. Maybe we meet like once a week and everyone can share their questions, concerns, and then everyone can give feedback and ideas for the other people, the other person's company.
I mean, did you ever think that maybe sometimes we don't when we start something, but with you, I'm always like, I mean, you start something like you start, but there's this feeling underneath. It's like, this isn't where it's going to end.
Yeah.
Like there's something greater and bigger. And sometimes when you're starting something, you can't
Yeah.
see anything other than what you're trying to act, the baby that you're trying to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel that? Can you feel like that? I mean, like, what do you think about in the next 10 years? What do you
Right.
want to, what do you want to look like? What do you want
Right.
this life of yours to look like?
Right. I mean, if I look at it like that, I get stressed out for sure because it's like, oh gosh. But I think I
Yeah.
have to, because I am like, how am I going to financially provide my 2 children in Los Angeles by myself?
Right.
That, but, and I have to just trust that God is going to close all the wrong doors, open all the right doors, help kind of guide the vision, and trying to listen to the leading of that. Like, for instance, I never thought I would do music again because I actually don't
Yeah.
like performing. I like writing. I
Yeah.
love writing, but I don't like getting up in front of people. But when I was going through the whole kind of single mom process, and writing songs about everything that happened was so therapeutic that my producer friend was like, "Oh, come and let me produce this for you." So we decided. So we did a couple songs, and then now we're gonna do like a kind of like a country duo-ish type of thing.
Yeah.
And so we just did our first song, and I realized when I was in the studio when we wrote one of the verses. I wrote most of it one night, like crying, like where my tears were like on the guitar, and it was so like,
Wow.
whoa. And then when we wrote the last verse together, it was so, I had never felt that joy in so many years, where I was like, oh. And then in the studio, in the booth, like recording, and it brought back all these memories because I had done music for so long. And I left and I was like, whoa, this was the first time in years where it was hours of time in a row where I wasn't stressed. I didn't feel anxious. I was
Wow.
like in my happy place. And I hadn't felt that in so long, like this
Yeah.
creative space. Because with Giving Keys, I love it so much, but it is like still like business minded, and like, there's times and goals and apps and, all the things. And this was just like the free creative
Yeah.
flow stuff that I hadn't done in so long. That is who I am. That was kind of dead in me for so long.
Wow.
So I'm so excited. Not that I'm trying to be a rock star because I don't want to leave my kids on the road. Like that's not the goal. It's more like, I don't know what this is going to turn into, but I have to follow knowing that joy that I felt.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, I got to keep doing that. Because that's
like a
good for my
first love of
soul.
music. Yeah, that's come back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's country? Is that
It's
what you're going to
kinda-
start writing?
I'll play it for you after this. It's like, it's rough right now. It's not country, like going to the bar.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Like, I kind of like Johnny Cash. I like the Casey Musgrave-esque. Like, it's not country, but kind of maybe more folky. I don't know. But I'll play it for you after. Also, I want to write a third book. I wrote 2, but the third one, I don't know what the moral of the story is yet, but I've been taking notes on it for over 3 years with everything that I've gone through. I have like pages and pages and pages and pages and morals of the story and nuggets that I've learned. That I'm excited to see like what the redemption story is going to be at the end of it. So that's in there too.
But don't you think it's true of you that you, in everything that you've faced, you're always looking for the redemptive side of it?
Yeah. Like,
and
this
a lot
can't
of people,
all just be for nothing.
Well, and a lot of people don't, though. A lot of people get so caught up in the conflict that they almost realize that they lean more toward the conflict than toward any resolve or redemption.
Yeah.
But you always look for the redemptive quality in everybody that even wounds you.
Yeah.
Because you've had some humdingers, in your life. And it's like, but you look, and I don't know, do you feel like sometimes maybe that keeps you so humble?
Oh, I never thought of it that way, but I guess. But I think mostly it's the only way, that just coping with it, it's like my way to cope, because I think when I was younger, before I knew the word trauma, like, and you just live life and you're a teenager, and I had that change the world mentality thing. And with the Love Your Flaws, again, it was like a way to give myself therapy, but also knowing, and because I am an empath, knowing that other people struggled with it too.
Yeah.
And it's like a way to help me and knowing it's helping them. And the same thing for giving keys. Like I need all the words on these keys. I need resilient, persevere,
Yeah.
hope, love,
Yeah.
fear, all the things. And now for going through this divorce, which is not what I wanted at all,
Yeah.
I know that I know that I know that I know that I did literally
Everything
everything
you needed to do.
I I could possibly do, humanly
Yeah.
possible. And the rest, the only way that I can cope with it is knowing, God, you know that I know that you know that I
Yeah.
know that we know that I literally can't do anything else. I've done
That's
everything.
right. That's
And you
right.
have, like, this can't just be like, oh, it's a sad story, like the
Right.
end. Like what's the purpose in it? Like what? And so I basically am taking everything that I've learned to cope with it, whether it's like quotes, lessons, nuggets of wisdom, whatever, to just deal with it myself.
Yeah.
And I have to like put it, I can't just like keep it. Like I have to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
put it out somewhere. And I think, I don't know, it was some famous artist that said something like artists have to feel more than normal people because they feel the pain more. They feel,
Mhm.
because it has to kind of overflow through our pores and veins and souls to then be put on, the paper, or um the canvas, or the
Yeah.
script, or the song, or the screenplay, or whatever. Like we have to feel it more. It has to
Yeah.
go somewhere. Like it has to land somewhere. It
Yeah.
can't just, like, there's literally not room enough to contain it all, so you have to put it somewhere. So that's why, um yeah, so I don't think, I guess it keeps me humble. I definitely don't feel prideful at all. I feel more just like, okay, let's okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, what's next, and how are we
Well,
gonna, like,
you carry, I mean, the vision that you carry, Caitlin, it's like, I think that's what stuns me about you, because I've just never met anybody that's carried such a really beautiful vision, walked
mm,
it out, saw it
mhm,
become really successful. Sometimes success in anything that we get
mhm,
can kind of change our thought process.
yeah,
But what I love about you is that I think what really hangs around your neck all the time is mercy.
mm,
And mercy has power to it.
mm,
And I think more than a lot of people understand, the kind of power that mercy holds, because
mm,
when you're encouraging, it's mercy.
mhm,
I mean, you talk about what you just were saying about, just artists and creativity. I've said on this show before that I had a conversation with the Lord once where he was like, I wasn't bummed out when I created the universe. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I wasn't, on antidepressants or anything when I was in my creativity. And I was like, what are you trying to say? And he just said, it's my mercy that I give people art and music,
mm,
because they don't have the freedom fully to believe that they can do anything
mm,
regardless. And he said, I did it because I created in my sovereignty. But
mhm,
what I give humanity is the mercy of God to find the escape to create in their
mm,
artistry. And I just thought, wow, that is really cool. But it
mm,
made me hunger for freedom
mhm,
and for resolve and
mhm,
for redemption,
mhm,
and for almost a thought process of being like, I don't want to think about the chaos of it. I want to actually think, okay, so there's chaos. So there's
mhm.
crap
Yeah,
that happens to everybody every
yeah,
day,
yeah,
but you got to pick yourself up and you got to dust yourself off and you got to move on. And somewhere in the moving on, we become even greater. Our colors become
mm,
brighter
yeah.
than they were when we were reaching for colors just to get us through the moving on.
Yeah, and the word
So,
resilient, like our
yeah.
necklaces, I think it was a friend, Julie Bennett, who said her and her husband just have a book that came out called Fighting for Family, and she went through stage 4 breast cancer twice, and I think she was talking about the word resilient, how what did she say? Something about like the messy hard, like you don't
Mm.
just get to be resilient because you choose to be, or it's like a feeling. It's like it
Yeah.
comes from the messy hard, and it's on the other side of hope. It's like, I don't remember the order. Like, is it
Wow.
resilience then hope, or hope then resilience? And then I was looking up resilience in the dictionary one day too, because I interviewed this girl. She was like a bachelor, bachelorette, or one of those,
Yeah.
and she's amazing, like supporter of Giving Keys. And she said her ex like broke up with her, and he said something like, I don't think you're that resilient. And she was like, what? Like, I am so resilient. I was like, let's look it up. Let's look it up in the dictionary. So when we looked it up, we saw that it said something like, it's after you fell down. I'm totally
Mm.
paraphrasing Webster's dictionary, but like, and I was like, see, it's after you fell down. So you didn't just fall down and
Yeah.
stay
Wow.
there. And you
Yeah.
didn't fall down. And it doesn't also say you fell down, got right back up. Like
Right.
maybe you're
Right.
down for a minute, you're down for a minute and you can
Yeah.
be sad, you can feel the feelings, and then you get back up. And
So
that's
good.
like the resilience. And that's like,
Yeah.
and then I feel like when you're laying down and you're sad and you're feeling feelings because you're a human being, hopefully you're getting revelations.
Yeah.
So then as you're
Hopefully.
up, you're like, oh, look, I got back up. And then
Yeah.
look, I got back up. Like you don't have to stay down. And this is how I got back up.
Yeah.
But you can't learn any of that. You can't be resilient if you don't get knocked down.
Yeah. It's kind of that thing too with a lot of women when we get kind of um a little impaled for having strength and like, oh, the reason you're single is because you're maybe too strong,
Yeah.
and it's like you have to be strong.
Yeah.
Like there's so much going on, especially single
Yeah.
mothering.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it ain't for the weak.
Right? Cheers.
I know exactly. How has that been for you? How
Mhm.
is raising kids? Because you've got a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
and
Brave. My little boy.
Brave is 7
Brave is
and
7.
Lovey is
Yeah. And my little girl named Love. We call her Lovey, and she's 4. And I'm
4.
obsessed with them. I mean, thankfully
They are characters. Your kids are so great characters.
Yeah. I mean, we co-parent really well
Yeah.
compared to other people that I see that don't talk and like, but we're together like every day. We do all the
Yeah.
things and the baseball, and the
Good.
basketball, and the ballet, and and drop offs and pickups together. Like we're really good at all that. But yeah, I mean, there's certain times where I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is not okay. Like this is not doable. I'm outnumbered,
Yeah.
and I can definitely freak out. But again, how I cope is
Mm.
like knowing like God, you have some sort of I don't know if it's reason, because I think I was a philosophy major. So I'm like, is this meant to be, or because you allowed it, or is it free will? Like who knows how that all works? So I was like, I thought I was following you when I made the decision to marry this
Yeah.
person. Like he was a worship leader and all the things. And like I thought, so like, how does that work? Like, so it's like,
Yeah. How do you
how does
resolve
that work? So it's
Yeah.
like, it has to be for some reason. And is it going to be that because I'm going to help other single mothers? Is it going to be maybe there's, I'm supposed to write a children's book to help people with going through this situation, or some sort of nonprofit? Or is it like there's some person that's going to be a knight in shining armor that's like God meant for, or not? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it's definitely harder than I think anyone could ever know. And like, even in the moments, like the small moments of like the exhaustion and the not, you don't get necessarily appreciated or anything.
Yeah.
And then you're like completely dead of exhaustion, and then not having that support. But thankfully I have so many incredible girlfriends that have dropped off things, or a couple girlfriends. Like there was a season where putting them to sleep was so tough, like putting one to sleep and then the other one was crying, and then I get this one down, the other one's crying, they wake the other up, and I was like, I'm losing it. It's like hours and I cannot get them to sleep because I can't be in 2 rooms at once or whatever. And so I had a few girlfriends that would come over and help, like be with one of them so I could be with the other, and just I'm so grateful for the community of good girlfriends, like leaving a candle at my front door and a journal, or just mostly come and help me put them to sleep.
Yeah. Because you don't have childcare help.
No.
You do it all on your own.
Yeah. And my mom helps. Like she's been coming like maybe once a week, and that's super helpful.
That's great.
Yeah. Or she'll be
Wow.
like the best babysitter if I have to go out, and I love.
Are you remote? How much do you travel?
I would like to travel
Because you used to travel
more.
quite a bit.
Yeah, I used to be always on planes, and then I was definitely burnt out, and I was like, I'm never going to LAX again. So then I didn't go anywhere for a long time, just in mama mode. But now I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
Ready to go.
It feels so good to be here in Nashville, so I want to come back.
I know. Thanks so
So-
much for stopping by.
Thanks for having
That's
me.
amazing. What, in the kind of final questions for you, what You got maybe a book in you, another book in you. You're releasing some music. Like, do we have a date on that yet? No.
No, they're just in like demo form.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And then is there anything in the keys, the giving keys that is new and hot on the market that people should rush to the website to purchase?
I mean, I love all of our herringbones that say phrases. Like we just put out a new one that says, well, we have faith over fear. Grant me the serenity. But one we just put out is she believed she could, so she did.
Yeah.
And then we have this one that actually that one's coming out this week. It's called it says embrace hope on it, like a little sparkly little baby key. So I mean, we're constantly coming out with new things, and I just love coming up with new.
And you still are found in all kinds of stores all over the place. Is that expanded for you as well?
Well, we definitely dialed that back in COVID because so many stores were closed. So now we're kind of building it back up. So mostly people buy online.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to, I think I'm mostly excited. I'm excited for all the things, and if anyone, wants help or support with their brand or business, like I'm super excited to get, meet with people.
Yeah.
And
do you think you'll do that on a more of a, maybe an online scale where you can have people kind of come into a conference or an online conference where you're talking to them in a Zoom or whatever?
Yes, definitely. I know I love doing the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So I was just on the plane yesterday coming up with like, I guess I need to come up with like an offering now of like, these are the options. So one was like, okay, you can do one-on-one for an hour, this much. And then, or 4 times a month, this much one-on-one. Or if you want to do the group,
you need to come up with that whole thing. Is that on your website somewhere? Where
no, I literally just wrote it in my notes section of my phone on the airplane yesterday. So I'll put it out probably by the time this is out. It'll be out.
Okay, that's good.
Post about it.
That's awesome. Well, I love you. You're the
DM
best.
me and we'll just make it work.
Yeah, you can DM her at Caitlin Crosby, right? At Caitlin Crosby. And does somebody else run your giving keys?
It's a team and I together.
Okay, because you still have your you do your little lives, you talk to people. Is it on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
You do your little.
We'll have to have you on soon.
Oh, call me up. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it that she's, you're interviewing other people, which is so great.
It's my favorite.
You're the best.
You're the best.
Thanks so much for coming in. I can't wait to hear your music.
Oh.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.